Hello and welcome back to Let's Talk Chicago Bears, who are 8-3. Are you kidding me? Whoa. So that means it's time for the gift that just keeps on giving with the victory song. Are you guys ready? Shut bed down, Chicago Bears. Make every play, but clear the way to victory. Bed down, Chicago Bears. Put up a fight with the might so fearlessly. Never let them forget the way you filled the nation with your T formation. Bear down, Chicago Bears. Let them know why you're wearing the crown. You're the pride and joy of Illinois. Chicago Bears. Bear down. Wow. Wow. What a day yesterday was. Wasn't that awesome? You know what? Honestly, I did not think that the Bears were going to win that game. Every time a new injury report came out yesterday or over the weekend, I was like, oh my God, there's no way. There's just no way we're going to win this game. But you know what? This team is one hell of a tough team. They believe in each other, and they did not stop until the 60 minutes were up. So we didn't get to have Rodgers, the D-bag, in there playing, but you know what? It wouldn't have made any difference. We were going to win either way. But I'll show you what a D-bag this guy is, though. So Rodgers gets to the field. He goes out onto the field. He walks around a little bit. And what does he do? He gives the cameramen and the reporters the finger. And when he was starting to walk back into the locker room, he gave fans the finger too. This just shows you what a D-bag he is. He's so unprofessional, and he's just a jerk. So I'm glad we beat his team. I mean, this is just phenomenal. I mean, you know what? It was not perfect. Again, there was a lot of mistakes, but when it came down to the end, they just kept playing and playing, and that defense, considering. All right, let's talk about who was not in that game. So JJ, number one, Gordon, those two have not been at all this season. Well, Gordon was in one game. TJ Edwards, our awesome, outstanding linebacker, he was not in. Then we put another linebacker, Edmonds, who's been leading the team with tackles, on IR. Number 23, our backup running back, Johnson, was put on IR. And then these players went out, so we had no middle linebackers. Edmonds, Edwards, and who's the other one? Oh, Swell were not in there. So the players, they had no middle linebackers playing at all of the starters. Then, as I said, Swell was out, and then Thilo Bennett, he was out on the O-line. So it was like, oh my God, that was that's 3, 4, 5 guys on the defense, and then the O-line. And then during the game, we lost more players. Our offensive line, Jackson, went out. Number 25, Stevenson, our backfield guy, great guy, went out hurt. Hippolyte, who was in for one of the linebackers, probably Swell, number 47, Hippolyte, he went out. And number 90, Robinson, who was on the D-line, he went out. And it was like, so basically, in the middle of the field, we had second and third string players playing. It was insane, and I'm thinking, there's no way. There's no way they're going to win this game. I mean, when you lose that many of your defensive players, it's tough, and missing JJ and Gordon the whole season has been rough. And then Edwards has not played much at all. And then when Edmonds went on IR, I couldn't believe it. Now, I'm thinking what their thought between Edmonds on IR, because they put him on right away, is he got a hamstring issue, is that it's a 21-day. So I'm thinking they would put him on, let him get the rest, see what happens with the rest of these games. And if the Bears are still in it after this rough stretch and after these 21 days he's on IR, and if he's healthy enough to come back, that's what they're hoping, is that if they're still in it, he'll be healthy to help them down the road. So that's my thought on that. But I mean, with all the players out, like Ben Johnson said in the after the game, he said, we could have cried and said, oh my God, we don't have our linebackers. We don't have some guys in our backfield. What are we going to do? What do we do? They didn't do that. They just came together. And from a defense that isn't great anyways, they were ranked 27th in the league, I got to tell you what. And just really good play when it was needed. So let's go over a few stats and then we'll talk some more. But man, it is so much more of a pleasure doing these shows. I got to tell you, 8-3. If you would have told me at the beginning of the season, going up into that Pittsburgh game, and after the Pittsburgh game we'd be 8-3, I'd be like, yeah, you're crazy. No way. But again, it's going to get harder. So we'll talk about that in a minute. So the total yards for the Bears, total pass rush, was 328 yards. Pittsburgh, we allowed them 345 yards. The passing for the Bears was 229, and the passing for Pittsburgh was 159. We're going to talk about that, why it was only 159. The rush was not good yesterday. We rushed in the first half, but we could not rush in the second half at all. They couldn't get it going. I think they should have run Magali, Kyle, our new guy, more. Because Pittsburgh's a tough defense, and I would have pushed him a little bit more and ran him some more, but they didn't. We rushed for 99 yards only, and Pittsburgh had under 186 yards rushing, but 55 yards of that 186 was that 4th and 1 where they completely shocked the Bears. And they ran around everybody because the Bears thought they were going to do the push, and he made it down to the 1 yard line, and it was a 55-yard run, and they scored a touchdown after that. But they were running. But you know what? At the end of the day, the defense did not let him pass much. My threes, penalties 5 or less. You should have 2 turnovers by your defense, and you have to get 3 and outs on defense, and you have got to avoid 3 and outs on your offense. Penalties, they were bad yesterday. Those penalties, when they happened, they hurt every single time. There was 8 of them, 5 or less. You can't have 8. It's got to be 5 or less, Bears. And I'm telling you, I wrote them down. There was a couple that were really, really hurt, and I'm going to explain one of them. Turnovers, we got 2. We did it. I'm like, right on. And then for our offense, we had 3 and outs. And the worst one was when we had 2 minutes left in the game, and all they needed to do was get a first down, and the game would have been over, because by that point, I think Pittsburgh only had 1 timeout left. Doesn't matter. They had used them up, and if we had gotten a first down, the ball would have never gone back to Pittsburgh, and it wouldn't have put our defense back out there. But it didn't happen. So, but again, we won the game considering we had the 2 turnovers. So they didn't win my threes, but they still won the game. So I don't care. Williams, another pretty damn good day. Again, he had some overthrows where he had open wide receivers. Got to work on that. But he was 19 of 35. That's not a good stat, but quite a few of those were overthrows. 239 yards passing. He threw for 3 touchdowns, and he was sacked once. And unfortunately, that sack cost us 7 points because it was a fumble sack in the end zone. Now, and he also had 21 yards rushing, Williams. When he was asked about that fumble sack in the end zone, he kind of after the game, he looked at the reporters and he said, bottom line is I should have thrown the ball back away sooner. And one of the reporters said, or take a safety, which is true. Had he taken the safety and hung onto the ball, it would have been 2 points, not 7. But it happened, but he's got to learn from this. So he's still got to work on. But that was the first turnover he's done in quite a while, and we did overcome it, but you can't have that happen, Cabe. You got to get rid of that ball or decide to take the safety for 2 points rather than 7. But the overthrows still concern me because these receivers were open, but he's still, Pittsburgh was rushing him all the time. They were in his face, but the O-line did a good job on protecting him because that was the only sack, and that sack was on Cabe. Totally on Cabe. The whole thing, fumble, everything was on Cabe Williams, and he knows it. The O-line, and we were down Theo, and then we lost another one during the game. He got hurt, so Ozzie had to go in for him. So it was rough out there, but the O-line, I got to tell you, that's why we were running better in the first half, but when you had to replace the guy on the offensive line and put Ozzie in, that's when in the second half when rushing yards became very sparse for the Bears. But when needed, Williams was throwing that ball. There were some passes were just phenomenal. So he's got it. At one point he was 5 for 5 in one of either the drive right before the half or right after the half. I can't remember, but he was just on. And quite honestly, I wouldn't have rushed the ball the rest of the game because they were giving him the pass. Don't even bother rushing Ben Johnson. And we're going to talk about that. So, and then our leading rusher was number 25, our rookie Kyle Amungai. He had 48 yards with a touchdown. That he has had a touchdown in the last 3 games he's played, a touchdown in each game. So right on. Our rookie wide receiver number 10, Burden. He had 15 yards rushing. He rushed the ball, and then Swift had 15. But I'm telling you, I'm pissed off at Swift. He fumbled that ball, and it was not good. The only good thing was that the defense came out, had his back, and they stopped the Steelers from scoring any points. But you cannot fumble that ball. So you got to hang on to it, Swift. So he's been doing pretty good up until this game because he didn't have much. Like I said, he had 15 yards. That was it. But the rush game in the second half was just null. Receiving yards in the air, Moore, and really nice to see this happen. Moore had 64 yards in the air, 2 touchdowns, and he had a penalty that was really, to me, immature. He did the taunting penalty when he caught that one ball, and it cost us 15 yards on that play. But he redeemed himself because then Cabe threw him a touchdown, and he got that touchdown. But you can't be taunting the players for 15 yards. Moore, you are a veteran. You've been in the league long enough. It's bullshit. And, he made some joke about it. Well, it just set up for the touchdown. What if the touchdown didn't happen and we were pushed back those 15 yards and we wouldn't have got a field goal? You can't do it, Moore. Grow up and be the veteran you are on this team. But I did like that he showed up and got, because he's had a couple rough games prior to this game, so nice, Moore. Number 15, Rome, our wonderful receiver, had 53 yards in the air. I love this guy, 84, Loveland, our new tight end. Love him to death. He had 49 yards with a touchdown. Burden, number 10, our rookie wide receiver, had 46 yards in the air. I really would like to see him get involved more. Loveland and Burden, I would love to see these guys get the ball a little bit. And then Swift had 14 yards receiving. I really like to see it, but I like that. And then he threw it around. Cole Komet caught one, and then who else? There was another one. But I like it, but I like that they're getting Loveland and Burden more, and I think Burden's got to get more and more involved, if you ask me, because this kid's talented. Along with, we've got 2 great tight ends, and even our third tight end, Smythe. You know what? He comes in there. He's a great blocker, and he is good. He's another little, twist to the tight ends. Our defense, God bless them. I mean, they were decimated yesterday. And that D line really, of course, they only had 2 sacks, but they had the turnovers and they had the fumble, and that D line was in his face the whole time. They gave up rushing yards, but we weren't letting him pass. So number 48, Jackson, he was a backup, and he had the green dot on his helmet, and he was calling the plays, and he's a backup in there, and he led the team with 20 tackles. Shit, right? And then another backup, 45, who was in the middle, was a linebacker. I can't say his name. It's about this long, so I'm going to call his first name. Number 45, Amend. He had 16 tackles. Brisker, number 9, had 11 tackles, and another second, third string guy in the backfield. I think he came in for Stevenson when he went out hurt. Number 24, McLeod, he had 9 tackles. So, and they were picking on McLeod a lot, but fortunately, the defensive line was in his face, Rudolph's face all day, so he kept overthrowing, because there was at least 4 that I remember, if not 5, but for sure 4, that his wide receivers were open, and he just plain missed them, and it was awesome. This defense, so impressive. And then, of course, in the first series for Pittsburgh Steelers, what happens? Number 26, Wright, comes up and gets another interception right on. And I'm so happy to be able to say this, 98 Swift had 2 sacks and a sack fumble. He really showed up, and he was all over the field, and we need Sweat to continue. Ben Johnson said yesterday that Swift is now getting going. Each week he sees better and better and better and better. I don't know why it took so long, but moving forward with the toughness of the schedule, he has got to set up. Booker was all over the place yesterday, but I'd like to see his name in a sack or two, too, because I like Booker 94. And yes, so we had the turnovers were the interception by Wright, and then when Sweat sacked, he got a sack fumble. So those were our 2 turnovers, and they just rocked. And the one good thing about our turnovers is on the 2 turnovers we had, our offense actually went down and scored touchdowns off of both of them. We got 14 points off of those turnovers. And last Friday, that was one thing I mentioned, that the Bears have got to start scoring touchdowns, not field goals, off of those turnovers. And I actually predicted to win the game that the offense would have to score 5 touchdowns. They scored 4, so it was close, but really great. 2 game balls went out, and deservedly so. Sweat got one for his 2 sacks and fumble, and 48, the backup linebacker Jackson, who was the guy out there calling the plays, 20 tackles. I mean, amazing. You know what? You got to give these backups a lot of credit, and it also says that you got to give Poles some credit that he did go out and get some guys as backups that you can put on the field and they make a difference. I mean, the D, I got to tell you, yes, once all these injuries kept coming out, I was saying to my son and my friends, the offense has to step up and they have to score points, and they did it. I think they could have scored at least one more touchdown, but it doesn't matter. We won. But the defense, clearly, they're not the best in the league by any means. Like I said, they're 27th, but they stayed and they played all 60 minutes. Because sometimes we see by the fourth quarter, they're gassed because Pittsburgh did win the time of possession battle by 6 or 7 minutes, and that means your defense is out there longer, and it starts to get them gassed. But even with the second and third string players, everyone stepped up, and that was the only way we were going to win this game, and they did it. And I did say on Friday's show that the defensive, it starts with the D line, and the more they do, the less the linebackers and the backfield have to do, and we were just I mean, we should have probably talked about who started rather than who didn't start. But defensive, I gotta give you. I think the whole defense deserved a game ball. I mean, again, they gave up yards, but when it came down to it, and of course they gave up 20, because the score was 31-28. They gave up 28 points, but when it really counted, and and that's really all that matters. They were there and they did it. Now they had some penalties, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. But so let's talk about the offense, who looked really good. Williams, I mean, on several of those drives, I told you, he was fantastic. And then on some of the drives, he wasn't. He had, again, overthrows. He's overthrowing these receivers when they're open, and he's got to work on that. I don't know what it is. I'm sure they're working on it with him because it's been happening quite a bit. But at the end of the day, he did what he needed to do, like he has done most of the season. And when it counts, he gets us down there and he gets us the points. And he keeps the offense even-keeled. He keeps these guys calm. He stays calm. And that's what's very impressive about him, is how calm he is. And that is a huge difference. And it's something we have not had in a long, long, long time. Now, there were some things that I wasn't happy about. So when it was 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and it was after the Pittsburgh went up and got that next touchdown, and it was 28-31, the Bears got a penalty. And Cabe had just thrown. It was 3rd and 8. He threw a ball. We got a first down. Penalty. Then it's 3rd and 15. He throws a pass, and it was short by 3 yards. See what the penalty did? Even when he had to rethrow it the second time, he still would have had the first down if we didn't get that penalty. So the penalty hurt him there, punt. And that was another thing. 6 minutes left. You want to start controlling the clock. Now, I said we couldn't run the ball, so he was going to have to keep passing, but it's the penalty that stopped that drive. And then I've got some concerns on the offense when it was 2 minutes left in the game, and offense, all they had to do, because Pittsburgh was using up their timeouts, was get a first down. They get a first down on that drive, game over. They don't leave the field. The defense doesn't have to come back out, but they didn't. They didn't. And part of this, I think, because the first 2 calls on that were runs, and they could not run in the second half. Ben, what the hell? Terrible. Throw the ball. They were giving you those short passes, and those were good as runs. Pass the ball. They couldn't stop Cabe when it was that. And it you know what? And it was terrible. I mean, and then and then what happened? They had to punt the ball. And so they give the ball right back to Pittsburgh. So I'm telling you, I blame that one on Ben's play calling. I know he's still got to learn. He's learning. I mean, some of the calls he played in the game were phenomenal, but this is really important. You've got to know and see what was going on, and they were not giving up. They were not going to let the Bears run the ball. They were going to force Cabe to throw it, and he was completing them. So stupid ass call. I mean, we did win the game, and I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer, but these are things that have to be cleaned up if you want to continue to win with this extremely tough schedule. And this is the hardest part of the schedule coming up. I thought Pittsburgh was going to be a little harder than it was, but it was still a fight. So, but the offensive line did their job the best they could. They really, really did. The run kind of sucked, but you know what? In the first half, it was working, and I again want to see number 25 in there more. I really like this kid. I think if they keep him in there more, he's going to be one of those guys, in my opinion, that if you get the run game going, and by the fourth quarter, you can just hand it off to him, and he's just going to pound that defense, wear him out. Swift's not that kind of a runner. He's more the finesse, and he fumbled the ball, but the defense, all in all, the receivers caught the ball when it was not overthrown. They got those touchdowns, and our tight ends everybody played pretty darn well. There was the penalties. Okay, so there's a couple penalties I'm going to talk to. There was one drive in the second quarter on offense where we had two penalties. The first one was from the kickoff, which they had a pretty decent field holding back 10 yards. And then then there was another penalty on the line, a holding penalty, and then it went from first to 10, first to 20. And you know what happens when that stuff happens. And we were back by the goal line as it was. We were on, I think we were on the 5 yard because of the two penalties pushed us back. And that's when Williams had that sack, fumble, and gave Pittsburgh 7 points. So part of it is because of the two penalties. You see what I say? How destructive and how it can just hurt your team, penalties, and those two set up for that disaster to happen. And then in the fourth quarter, our D had a bad penalty. They had stopped Pittsburgh on third down, and they were going to have to punt the ball. And then the Bears get a penalty. It's first down. They go down and score a touchdown, 28-31. So in these particular situations, there was more penalties, but these particular three really hurt the Bears and could have cost them the game. So penalties. It drives me freaking crazy. They have gotten a lot better, yes, but we can't have it. We just can't have it. So you know what? I said it was going to be a tough one. I didn't know with all the injuries what was going to happen. But again, this team is just, they really, really believe, and it's been a long team. I can't even say the 2018 team that went 12-4 was as solid and as close and believers as this team is. Ben Johnson and his coaching staff, when it comes to this, has really done a good job. And this, we needed to score a lot of points, and the offense did it. They did their part. Because prior to that, they weren't scoring enough, and the defense really had to hang on. But I got to tell you, the offense did their job this week, and we need to see it more and more. And then I talked about the gut run game. It didn't work, but you know what? It didn't matter because we won, right? So, but you got to have a run game going into this. Friday, we played Pittsburgh. I'm not doing a show, and I'm not doing a pre-show this week, so I'll see you Saturday after the Philly game on Friday. But going into that Friday game, one thing is Philadelphia lost last night, and I said to myself, oh, they're going to be cranky on Friday, which I really didn't want, and it's in Philadelphia. This is a game, if we don't get back as many as players as we can on that D, I don't have a lot of confidence the Bears can win because Pittsburgh is very, very good. Although I gotta say they have some injuries now that are stacking up on their defense. So this could be another offensive game for both teams. And here's another game that I'll say the Bears have to score at least five touchdowns to win this game on Friday because it's going to be super tough. Philly is one of the hardest places to play. The crowds are insane, and they are going to be loud, and Philly needs this win to stay on top of their division. So they need this win desperately. And the Bears, to win this game Friday, 5 or less penalties. You got to have 2 turnovers on defense for us. No turnovers on offense. You got to get that run game back going again. It's so important. And for the Bears defense, I know that Saquon Barkley he's not having the year he had last year, but he still can gash you at any moment for a lot of yards. And he's a tough runner. So that's going to be a big, big thing for the Bears defense. They've got to stop Barkley, and they got to go after Hurts. And Hurts runs too, so you got to have a spy on them. Their offense they've got weapons, a lot of weapons on their offense, but they've been, I didn't really look it up, but the bottom line is Philly is good. They're not as good as they were last year, but they're really good, and you never know what team's going to show up. So Bears this Friday, air free, penalties 5 and less. Get our defense to get some more turnovers. Get that run game back to working. O-line needs to protect Cabe again, and the defense, again, has to step up. And if we can get some of these guys back, I mean, I think that they sat out JJ and Gordon because it was a short week and they didn't want to rush them back, and they didn't want them to play yesterday and then have to play Friday. I think there's a really good chance these two could be back. It would really, really help the Bears if we could get Edwards, middle linebackers back, Swell back too. That would really, really help. Anything we could get back, we need Stevenson back out there because I know he hurt his shoulder, so I don't know how bad it is. So we need as many first-string starters starting this game on Friday than we've had all year if we have a chance to win this game. And so that's pretty it. But I wanted to say this because a lot of people have been saying we're winning ugly. We're winning ugly. First of all, who gives a damn? Because it's very hard to win in the NFL because teams are so more matched nowadays than they used to be. And a lot of it has to do with some of the talent coming out of college, and a lot of players don't stay on teams. They jump around a lot. So they're a lot closer than you think. So look at our division. We're all bunched in there, right there. But the winning ugly made me think, because back in 1983, the White Sox, I know, I'm a Sox fan. Do not punish me for that. Do not stop watching me, please. But Ozzie Guillen came out and they said they ended up going. They were in first place, and it was Ozzie or it was who was there? Tony La Russa who said it. But they said, we're winning ugly, but we don't care because we're in first place. And they won the division. They lost in the playoffs, but they called it winning ugly. And you know what? I don't care if anybody in the league wants to call this winning ugly on the Bears. Who cares? A W is a victory. And we're 8-3. Again, who thought that could happen? When I started this show in the beginning of the season, I wanted 500. That's what I wanted the most, but it's going to get tough. Philadelphia. Then we've got Green Bay in Green Bay, which the game has been changed to the later game. It starts in your market at 3:30. Then it's Cleveland at home. Then it's Green Bay at home. Then it's 49ers in San Francisco. And then it's Detroit at home. Tough games, particularly 2 Green Bay, 1 Detroit, and 1 Philadelphia. Cleveland, they got a great defense. They really, really do. So you never know with them. And 49ers, I'm not sure. I haven't watched them a lot. They're getting guys back. They were very, very hurt. Now they're getting guys back. They will be playing tonight, so that'll help me see what they got. But this schedule is tough. And that's why I'm saying to win, I mean, I will be thrilled. So what is that? It's Philadelphia, Green Bay, Cleveland, Green Bay, 40. So it's 6 games nest. I'd be happy if it was 3-3. I want to beat Green Bay for sure at least once, and to beat them twice would be freaking awesome, wouldn't it? So, but it's tough. These 6 are going to be tough. And, again, I know some people, we got to win them all. I'd be happy with 3-3, people. I'm not kidding. I would be thrilled with that. And you know what? I know people want to go to the playoffs, but the Bears, as you see, still have some issues. Now, when we get these defensive players back that have been, the Edwards, JJ, Gordon, who've been out, almost all season, that could really help. Of course, Edmonds is out 21 days, so that is hurting. Again, he led the team in tackles, but that will help our defense. So, if they get these guys back and they're 100% healthy and they played like they did last year, and the guys we have in there continue to play, like Wright, he signed a 1-year deal with the Bears. My guess is the Bears, which I think they should be working on right now, giving him an extension because he has stepped up and he earns a new contract for sure. But so we'll see. If we are healthy on Friday defensively, I say we have a lot better chance. But if we're not, it's going to be a long day, and the Bears offense is going to have to carry the load again and score at least 5 touchdowns to win this game. So let's see. I mean, 8-3. My son, my sister, my friends, we were all talking, God, does it feel good? We forgot how good it feels. It's been since 2018 since we've won anything. And then 2019, Nagy, idiot, completely changed Mitchell Trubisky because he was 12-4 that first year, Mitchell. And then the next year in 19, he's completely different because Nagy was trying to make him a different type of a quarterback than he was. He fucked him up, and then that was that. And then it went downhill. But right now, the Bears organization is just doing what they have to do. The fans were great yesterday, and we deserve this. We have been loyal. 50 years. That's loyalty, isn't it? So, go Bears. This is just great. Now they could only celebrate till last night, and then now they're back in the they're going to watch the film today, and then they have to start preparing for the Eagles because it's Friday. So it's a short week. Better than Thursday playing, but it's still a short week. So we know what we need to do for Friday. I'm so proud of the Bears right now. I really, really am. Even if they hadn't come up with a W yesterday, they were still playing hard, but they came up with a W. I kept saying, especially at the beginning of the game, how rough it was in that first half and all the mistakes and the penalties. I'm like, this isn't going to happen. But Ben gets in their head. That's another thing. One more thing before I sign off is they make adjustments at halftime, and most teams do, but I tell you, these last coaches and regimes we've had these last how many years, they never seem to make the adjustments, but these coaches do, and it's awesome. That's called an NFL team, and the best thing the Bears have done in so long, since probably Lovey, was hiring Ben Johnson. Ben's got some things to work on, like that play call with those 2 minutes left, but we won. So, but I did point out there's some issues. We got to work on them. So, proud. Let's enjoy it. And let's, no matter what happens Friday, I want the Bears to be in the game from now on. Win or lose, show this league you're never backing down. And people can say what they want about the Bears. The fact is, they are 8-3. And I want to thank everybody for watching me. I got this comment from somebody this week. The person said, I'm not sure it was a man or woman, and the person said, wow, a grandma doing a football sports show? How interesting. And I was like, is that good or bad comment? But it was a good one. The person was impressed. So thank you. Hopefully that person comes back and watches me because I do rock, right? Yeah. And I always leave my show, and particularly this week, first of all, happy Thanksgiving to you all. I hope you all have a wonderful time with your family. Don't talk sports. Don't talk politics. Don't talk religion, especially politics. You'll have a good day. And it is a good week for thanking and appreciating what you have. Times are tough, so let's be kind and love one another. Think before you speak. Help people out if they need it, and just be kind. And remember, it's about us and people and love and getting through all of this, and we can. And I know Bears fans are the toughest out there. I don't care what anybody says. Best fans in the league. So on that note, go Bears on Friday and kick their asses. And you are 8-3. So on that note, keep on rocking and rolling from Vegas, baby. And I'll see you Saturday. Bye-bye.